the flashing screens, drenched in ultraviolet beams. I am the glitch in your design, breaking through the borderline. Pulse is raising, feel the strain, power surging through the veins. Pulse is racing, broken below, lock the system, rock glow. Feel the surge, the current flow, rushing fast, no time to slow, no turning back, no shutting down. We own the streets, we're on the town. Feel the surge, the current flow, rushing fast, no time to slow, no turning back, no shutting down. We own the streets, we run the town. Feel the surge, the current flow, rushing fast, no time to slow, no turning back, no shutting down. We own the streets, we run the town. Run the town. Run the town. Run the town. Skylines burning, coated streams, wide veins pulse with electric dreams. Circuits built to last, engines roaring, tearing past, neon highways burning bright, chasing ghosts through endless night. Cyber echoes call our name, lenses sparking through the frame. Through the grid we blaze a trail, no escape, no time to fall. Threat is rising, feel the stain, power surging through the veins. Pulse is racing, overload, ride the system, brace for coil. Feel the surge, the current flow, rushing fast, no time to slow, no turning back, no shutting down. We own the streets, we run the town.
I've walked 1,000 bridges before.
Hello, everybody. Hello. How are y'all doing today? Welcome in, everybody. Are we ready for class? Don't mind. I'm in the just chatting section for right now. We will be going to the classroom here in a second. I just want to talk to you guys before we jump into learning about Krills. But how's everybody doing? How's everybody's week been? I'm so sorry it's been a hot minute. Since we last streamed, I've had family and stuff, and then just, you know, of course yesterday I wasn't able to stream because you know, I'm just dealing with right now, I'm just going through a really depressive episode. It's just my thyroid is it just causes me to get in a very depressive state for a few days. I'll be fine though, don't you worry.
Thank you for your patronage.
Hey, thank you so much for the resub, Sir Big Cat. Also, Games, thank you so much for the sub as well. Of 26 months, dude. Also, hi, Robin. Hi, ya dude corn. Welcome. Also, Danny, welcome in. Hello. Welcome in, you guys. We have the ads hitting right now. So that way I can just talk to you guys while we wait for the ads before we jump into, you know, the education side of it. But I hope you all have been having a good week. Like I said, last week, I had the mother-in-law come into town, so I can't really stream when she's in town because she just is, she's a lot. So she can be quite a lot to deal with. So I've been just dealing with that, and then of course, yeah, yesterday I just wasn't in a great headspace, just mentally. I've just been getting in I just got into a really depressive mindset for the past few days, and it will work out eventually. It's just, you know, my thyroid is being a problematic, but luckily I should be I think, I don't know if I've scheduled it yet, but I need to get my blood work actually done in the next week or two. So I'll be getting that to figure out what exactly is going on, and then hopefully from there I can finally go and get my brain in a better, you know, get it back into the right position. Oh my god, the little boy is up here too. He's hanging out today. So but how's everybody? I hope you're all doing well. And then once the ads are done, we will jump right into, you know, the education. And, you know, last week or 2 weeks ago, or the last time we met, we voted on Krill. So I hope you all are excited to learn about Krill today. I hope you're all super excited. Also, welcome back, everybody, from the ads. I hope you're doing well today. I hope everything's going well. I was just talking with everyone before we get right into the classroom. Mostly just talking about, you know, I apologize for not being able to stream yesterday. I was just not in a good mental headspace, and it's not anything like particular. It's just right now my hormones are kind of out of whack. It's just health related reasons of, you know, as I mentioned before, my thyroid. So but yeah, I hope you all are ready to learn about Krill today. Are we super excited? Are we ready to go to the classroom, chat? Are we ready to go? and explore the wonderful world of Krill. Oh my god, sorry. If I keep like pausing and looking over, it's because the cat is like being crazy, you know, because he's an orange cat. He's also developed a routine of at between the hours of 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock in the morning. He'll run around like a maniac, and then when he's hungry, he'll jump on my feet and start attacking them, and then he'll come up to my face and start doing these little like chirps to let me know, hey, it's time to feed me. So that's been really, really fun. So all right, let's swap over to the classroom. Alrighty, class. Does everyone have their notebooks out and are ready? Are we ready? Hi, buddy. Are you ready to learn too? I see you're down at the bottom. Oh, never mind. He's like, nope, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. So today we're going to be learning about Krill. So these guys, as small as they are very small creatures, but they definitely have a big impact on our oceans and just in general. I marked the people who are here on the attendance register. Stitches didn't make it. Of course, he never makes it. So, alrighty. So let's jump into it. So we have a video to start off the day. Oh, that is really loud. Sorry.
Antarctic krill. Truly amazing animals.
I know.
Just on their biomass.
They make it so
biomass,
loud.
160 to 500 million tons. And they've got this huge biomass because they're so good at doing their job, which is eating primary production, phytoplankton, and converting that
there we go.
into
I turned
animal
it
tissue,
down.
and then feeding the rest of the ecosystem.
So, oh, crap. Oh, no. Sorry. Hold on. Ah!
They can shrink when they don't get enough food in the Antarctic winter. They're ready to hit that phytoplankton.
Wait.
Really quite remarkable in that they're good at doing their job, which
I've
is eating
goofed.
primary production,
Hi,
phytoplankton,
Mr. N
and
guy.
converting that into animal tissue, and then feeding the rest of the ecosystem. And they're truly quite remarkable in that they live for 5 to 7 years. They can
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Krill can live about 5 to 7 years.
shrink when they don't get enough food in the Antarctic winter. They're ready to hit that phytoplankton when it blooms in summer. And they're just really well adapted to this ecosystem. The boom and bust of the Antarctic is perfect for Antarctic krill.
So yeah, these guys love to live in the Antarctic. I think it's crazy they shrink or expand as necessary, like a bit like a bear. Yeah. So they stock up during the warmer weather on, you know, any little microorganisms that they can get their hands on. And then they bulk up and are mostly made out of, you know, fat and things like that. So that way, when the food starts to get a little less, they just live off of, you know, the, you know, their reserves pretty much, which is really, really cool. Those krills can live longer than my hedgie. Oh, I know. I'm so sorry about that. Oh, that was so awful. I hope you're doing okay. Because that was really sad. Like what an awful birthday gift to find out your hedgehog, you know, had a tumor and then was I'm really sorry for your loss. By the way, that's
Nice,
awful.
Very
Awful.
nice, Shiza-chan.
Hey, welcome in, Drevon. Welcome into the little dolphin army. We're learning about Krill today. And I do apologize if I mispronounced your name. It's okay. I got a beer and a Vaporeon tuber. Oh my god. I am not a Vaporeon. Oh my god. So, look at these little guys.
And they're not a sedentary species, are they?
No, Antarctic
Look at the way they
krill are
move.
very active. They're pelagic, truly pelagic. They're not plankton. They don't just drift with the currents like smaller creatures will. because they actually swim after high zones of chlorophyll A. They're
Look at
looking
how
for
they
that
move,
phytoplankton.
man.
And they're always swimming. They're obligate schoolers, so if you...
Yeah, they are constantly always swimming. They're swimming everywhere. Also, hello there, Song. Are you ready for pre-orders this Tuesday? Wait, what pre-orders for what? Pre-orders for what? GTA 6. Wait, GTA 6 is already doing wait, when do they release? Is it actually happening? Nah, don't care. 100 to 1,000? Wait, 100 to 1,000 as in like the like how much people... Wait, who's spending $1,000 on a pre-order? Jesus Christ. I mean, the $1,000, if it comes with like a statue and like all this like crazy stuff, then that makes sense. So it's $1,000 if you don't got a PS5 because it's not coming out on the PS4. It's $1,000 if it's not for the PS5? Are you kidding me? That's insane. No, thank you. I don't have a PS5 and I'm not pre-ordering it if it's like, I don't got $1,000. That's insane if they're charging you $1,000. It's $1K to buy a PS5 and the game. Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not pre-ordering because I don't got that kind of money. Dude, I don't have... I'm broke. I'm broke as shit right now. Nor am I gonna just buy a PS5 to play that, you know. It's just not worth the money, you know, at that point. We got krills by our shore and Nam, and we dry them for food contain. Yeah. They're really good. Krill is actually really tasty and very, very nutritious. You gotta buy a PS5 already. Sends emails to everybody. Jesus, yeah. The ultimate pack, I'm sure. Yeah. Hi there, welcome in. Hi there, welcome in. Dravon, is that how you say it? Or Dr. Forvon? Is that the correct way? If I ever get it, I can wait for sales, and it's on PC. I'm in no rush. Oh yeah, like I can. It's going to be game of the year. I can wait. Okay, it is Dravon. Okay, cool. I wasn't sure if the 4 was meant to be like the fancy way of A versus, you know, that. Oh, is my TTS bot? Oh my god, I forgot to turn it on. Wait, I thought I clicked on it. I'm so sorry. Can we refund the TTS points for Song? By the way, mods, I thought I had it open. I might have accidentally closed it. So I was thinking it's Dravon. Oh yeah. Although Twitch sometimes reads Dr. Forvon. Yeah. It's gonna do that for sure. It's going to be game of the year. You gotta get it, girl. Like, it's going to be the best game for the next 4 or 5 years. Yeah, I can wait. I don't have 1K that I can spend. You know? I can't. I'm broke. That's the problem. I don't have the money. Right now, I have a house that I gotta pay for, like, you know, we have to like gut the entire basement downstairs. So that is a problem. So
what about the Fortnite Battle Pass? You got to have the Fortnite Battle Pass.
I don't have the Fortnite Battle Pass either. So especially the fact that right now Fortnite's not doing too hot. They're having some issues because, you know, they fired like so many of their, laid off some of their staff. How you doing? I'm doing good. I am teaching everyone about Krill. Sorry, we're going on a whole tangent. Also, hi Hugan. Liz, you should do a Narwhal-U course on the leaf sheep. What is a leaf sheep?
Meet a bunch of krill during the daylight hours.
I've never heard of that.
School, swimming, polarized together. And this is a way to avoid predation as well.
A school,
because
guys.
visual predators are confused by schools, just like a school of mullet will school up, and it's hard to pick one individual out. The same for
Well,
krill.
we finally got a release day for the remake of Halo coming out July 23rd for the PS5. I can't wait. I've been waiting for years for this.
Oh yeah, I've gotten the Master Chief Collection on the PC. It's great. Halo's awesome. It's literally Halo. What was it? Halo Reach was like peak, and then it went down. I got hungry. Hey, no worries about that. But yeah, no, it's cool that they're coming out with a lot of stuff, but yeah, no, I'm not really a console person anymore when it's just gonna come out on the PC anyways, you know. I can wait. I don't need a console. The only console I have right now is the Nintendo Switch 2 because they came out with Kirby Air Riders, and also I can play Animal Crossing, Pokopia, Tamagotchi Life. That's like the only one I have right now.
And you know what's crazy? Taylor Swift trying to get married on July 3rd. Did you saw her wedding dress? Oh my god, she looks so adorable.
I have not seen Taylor Swift actually, so I didn't see her wedding dress, but I'm sure it looks beautiful. And July 3rd, that's like a few days, but that's a couple days before my birthday. That's 6 days before it, so. But it's the first one though. Oh yeah, no, the first one's awesome. Awesome. On Facebook. Oh, that's why I haven't seen it, because I don't use Facebook as often. Doesn't know about the most adorable creature ever. I probably know what it is. I just don't remember the name. I'm having right now I've been having major brain fog. So my memory is not really great right now. Do you know about the baby shark Jeffy? Oh yeah, I do know that. It's a krill. Let's watch more krill. Yes.
With the great baleen whales, because a baleen whale will then come and take the entire school and then squeeze the water out. You know, a blue whale has a 30 cubic metre mouth. You know, that could be a metric ton of krill in that 30 cubic metres if it met krill.
Schooling works, except when it's a whale. Then it just doesn't work.
Yeah, so krill show a diurnal vertical migration, which means that each night they come up to the surface to feed. That's where most of their food is. It's the phytoplankton. That must be where the light is during the day for photosynthesis. So the krill just swim straight up through the water column and come up at night when no one can see them. The whole point being to avoid those visual predators. And we'll often catch krill by just drifting the net behind the Aurora australis.
So yeah, krill, a lot of like animals will do this, like nautilus and things like that. They will actually stay really in like deep water where the light doesn't reach for the daytime, and then when it starts to become night, that's when a lot of them come to the surface, and that's when they do a lot of their feeding is during the night, because usually during the day a lot of predators are very visual. So that's what keeps them from, you know, getting got by a lot of animals is at night, because then, you know, it's darkness, so they can't see as well. So, you know.
At night, at the surface, even when we can't see any krill on our echo sounders, because they're actually dispersed.
I'm about to get the popper soon.
Frantically
What's a
feeding on
popper?
phytoplankton before diving down to the depths again before the daylight hours.
Look at them cleaning each
We're
other.
doing research here to look at the effects of carbon dioxide on the embryology of krill. We've found that if you expose krill eggs to high concentrations of carbon dioxide, they simply don't hatch. And the question then was exactly at what point does that occur? Where is the tipping point for Antarctica?
So like that's a huge problem, is that you know, carbon dioxide, if there's too much of it in the water, it will actually prevent them from hatching. And you know, the ocean is so viable, it actually produces, if I remember, it's like 80% of the oxygen we breathe. Pretty crazy to think about. And that's why, you know, it's really, 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 really important that we do not kill, you know, obviously a lot of the things that produce oxygen, like phytoplankton and things like that, because they are what keeps us going. Because if the krill die off, if we kill off the bottom of the, you know, the bottom of the food chain, it can actually impact everything above. Can I send you a picture of the leaf sheep? Yeah, go ahead. So this is why it's extremely important, and why like them studying this is actually very, very vital.
Krill embryos. And it turns out that they start to show an effect once you get around 1,250 parts per million carbon dioxide. Current atmosphere is 400 parts per million. Okay, so that seems a long way off. But the current concentration of carbon dioxide at the hatching depth of krill is down around 550 now. And at the end of this century, the models are telling us that it's going to be around 1,500 parts per million.
Yeah, that's,
now, once you get to
really, really bad.
Parts per million, we see a drop in hatch rate of around 20% from the experiments we've done in the lab. And if you go a little higher to 1750 or 2000, it's nearly nothing hatching. So
yeah, like what this guy is saying is like, yeah, that number that we mentioned, the highest that we went before none of them hatch is really high. And it's a lot, but at the rate that we're going in our society, we could actually do it very, very quick and hit that goal. Oh yeah, the little, okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about. I've seen them. Yeah. Little nudie branks. Yeah, they're part of the nudie brank family. Yeah, they're super cute. But yeah, so this is why, you know, as Krill, you're like, well, they're not that important, but they really, really are.
These numbers seem high compared to what we're used to at the surface, but you've got to understand the oceanographic processes that are going on in the ocean to really see what's going to happen to these eggs, because these eggs are sinking from the surface down to maybe a kilometre deep before they hatch.
That is true.
They're exposed to these conditions, not just the ones we have at the surface today. We've been looking at the effects of carbon dioxide.
No, you haven't
yet. Now we're looking at carbon dioxide and temperature. We have carbon dioxide moving through these pipes here, aerating into columns of water. Each of these header tanks is at different temperatures. And then we're sending that water, now it's had adjusted carbon dioxide, down into these exposure tanks below. There are 3 replicated temperature tanks here. Each one contains 6 different concentrations of carbon dioxide.
So they're just showing
contains
which one can,
which contains
you know,
8 jars of krill eggs. Each jar will have 20 krill eggs in it, and that will come from 1 female. So we can expose 3 different temperatures, 6 carbon dioxide concentrations, and really get to nail down the synergy of temperature and carbon dioxide, because it's likely to be...
So the reason why they're doing this is because that's like what climate change is doing, and we produce so much carbon dioxide, and that carbon dioxide does... Not only does it go into the atmosphere, but a majority of it is getting absorbed into our oceans. And this is like a huge thing a lot of people don't realize. It's why, like, if you've noticed, like, you've probably heard about acidification. That is a huge problem right now, because carbon dioxide and things like that are actually making the water more acidic, as well as, you know, raising the temperature, so the waters are getting warmer. This does also affect krill, and then of course the amount of carbon dioxide the ocean is able to absorb, and this can actually affect, you know, these guys' hatching rates. So what this guy is doing is he wants to figure out, okay, like like how much concentration does it take before they start to dip with the hatching process. So he's doing all the different kinds of temperatures, and also the different types of the amount of carbon dioxide that is put into the water to see, okay, like what is the hatch rate at this percentage at this temperature, and what is it in this rate at this temperature, and blah blah blah. So that way we can kind of understand what direction and how much this is going to impact us in a very, very negative way, which is really cool.
Much more than just an additive effect.
I miss this kind of work, you know? It's so impactful.
Krill have a 2-year life cycle. So they're spawned every summer in the surface waters. The eggs are then sinking down into these waters that, you know, have higher carbon dioxide concentrations naturally, and now unnaturally are being taken even higher.
Yeah.
These pictures are the first ever photographic record of the entire life cycle of Antarctic
This
krill.
is so cool.
These were taken at the Australian Antarctic Division,
where you get to
in Tasmania,
see it like
the only
form.
place in the world where the development of live krill
It's so
can be studied
cool.
in a lab.
Look at this. Isn't that so unique?
1,000 metres, they hatch into what's called a nauplius
Hi,
larvae,
Midnight.
which
Welcome
then begins
in.
to swim back to the surface. And this is called a developmental ascent, because they're actually changing the shape of the larvae on the way up, going through these metamorphoses. And they go through up to 11 stages over the next 6 months. But from 3 weeks onwards, they've reached the surface, and then these larvae are really tightly associated with the sea ice. And what's really important is that when you get under that ice and have a look, you really do see these larvae tightly glued onto that ice, and they're feeding away under there.
Isn't that really, really cool? And that's why, like, the, you know, melting of the ice caps and all that is also really, really bad, because if these guys really rely on the ice, as he was mentioning, that can actually really, really impact us. that can impact them, because that's where they're getting their nutrients. That's a habitat for them. And it's obviously, if it's melting, they're losing more and more and more of that habitat. Also, thank you, Hugan, for the hydrate. I did not bring water with me, which is so dumb. I didn't even think about that. Also, chat, I forgot to mention this. So I have just received my stuff from the Aquarium of the Bay trip. I do have the bracelets. So we have the one that we get to track our seal and the one that gets to track our turtle. So I'm thinking tomorrow, right before we continue Expedition 33, I will do a hand can stream and show these off and kind of unbox it, and we can figure out who our seal and sea turtle that we have, so that way you guys can get to, we get to track it together and, you know, see our lovely little animals that we have pretty much in a sense adopted, you know, all of us together. You know, we have our seal and our sea turtle, so we'll do some you know, weekly checkups on them. How's that? So right before Narwhale-U, we can do some, you know, track them and see what they're doing, you know, all that good stuff. So.
And it's really important to them, and we have seen evidence where we have a low ice year.
Breeding season for coral reefs is
it's essential for
fun
those
to
larvae
swim
have
through.
that ice.
I've swam through it too many
Understanding
times.
how that ice is going to be retreating around the Antarctic, how the changes in ice all tie into this whole story. So we don't just have one pressure on krill, we have this ocean acidification problem.
Yep.
We also have
As
an
I
ice
mentioned.
retreat issue. And
the ice.
all of these things are going to act together to put pressure on krill.
Do we know enough about krill in winter and what happens under the ice?
Historically, all our work on krill was in summer, and that makes sense because that's when people go there if they want to come back without getting stuck.
Yeah, they can't really go in the wintertime because it's extremely dangerous. It's really impossible to be there. And also, if you do end up, there are people that do live in Antarctica year round. They do have members that will stay there. And it's pretty brutal. It's very, very, very brutal from what I've heard. So yeah, that a lot of people don't want to stay during the winter time. So, but they do have like 30-something people that stay.
To do research, and this is multinational research with other countries. We're participating in these winter cruises, and we are learning much more now about larvae. We're able to get samples of krill larvae during the winter to work on their physiology and to examine all sorts of aspects of them. But it's still an area that needs more research. We're still trying to answer some of those questions about where the larvae are, what they're feeding on, and also where exactly are the adults during winter. It's still very hard to nail down. They've been seen down at 3,500 metres down at the bottom. They've been seen under the ice, but exactly where the bulk of the population is, we don't know. There are still a lot of big unknowns about this animal.
Isn't that crazy that we still don't know, like, where these guys, like, we don't know enough about these guys? And this is why it's so important for us to like really take care of our environment, right? And it really sucks that unfortunately profit is more like taken over, you know, our well-being as, you know, a society. It is really unfortunate that people prefer making as much profit off of, you know, whatever, versus, you know, harming the environment, which is, you know, it's awful to see. It's why, like, you know, I really don't like AI as much. I do know AI when it's used in a proper format of like a tool and things, it's okay. But what the direction that we're trying to use it for, like, you know, these giant data centers and stuff is just not ideal, because it is harming the environment. It is harming, you know, everything. And then of course, you know, it's just like a lot of other profits and businesses where, you know, we had all these checks and balances. I know in the US specifically, where, you know, we had like a cap of like how much like, you know, pollution we could put out yearly to help kind of balance back and keep us going in a bad path. And all these restrictions, and of course like green energy sources, like trying to research like, can we find more green, like, you know, energy and all that. And unfortunately, it's just really sad that a lot of people in, you know, power are very against it because it cuts into their, you know, profits and stuff. And that just, it doesn't matter. Like, money is great, but it's only temporary. And also we as a society, as humans, we need to work together on keeping our species alive. Like, yeah, you're gonna like it's crazy how many people just don't care. They're like, well, I'm only gonna live X amount of years or X amount of years anyways. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I just want to do what I want to do. I don't care what happens to the future generations. And it's just really sad to see that, because, you know, even us as humans, we are an animal as well, and we should be protecting our own species. You know, as humans. And it's just, it's awful, you know, what we're doing to our environment and to these wonderful animals, and like how much we just still don't know about our own earth. I mean, the amount of animals that help humans is extraordinary. Like, it's crazy just the ones that we do have. Like, for instance, if you've ever gotten a shot, a vaccine, like anything that has to be injected into you, you can thank a horseshoe crab for that. Believe it or not, a horseshoe crab actually has helped you in keeping you safe and keeping you alive. Because, you know, the vaccines, originally before, obviously COVID is a different kind of vaccine that doesn't really, I guess it didn't really require it as much because it's a little different, but I'm sure the horseshoe crab still had to help out in that aspect. But a lot of the times people don't realize that vaccines, they're safe, and the reason why they're safe is because we're not injecting, you know, a live virus into you. We inject the dead version of the virus, and horseshoe crab blood can actually detect whether it's alive or not. And it's a whole interesting process. And I would love to do a class on that. Like, if you guys would like for me to like talk about like horseshoe crabs and like their blood and how it like helps out, I would love to do a class on that, because I actually did an internship in it, and it's just really, really fascinating what it does. And you can take a horseshoe crab for that. Any sort of shot that you've gotten, vaccine or not, any sort of shot that you needed to get, you can thank a horseshoe crab for that. So it's really cool, just like the fact that we're finding out about that. And of course, like lobsters and like lobsters, why can't they get cancer? You know, it's fascinating. And it's like, well, if lobsters can't get cancer and the carcinogens can just sit in their bodies, how is that happening? And can we implement this into humans? Like, just imagine the possibilities. So this is why it's so incredibly important that we take care of our environments, our oceans, our wildlife, everything, our environment. Because the fact is, if we kill off something that could have been so impactful and so helpful to humanity, like the amount of animals that we have never discovered and never will because they're extinct now, it could have been something that could have made a major life change to us as humans. So, and believe it or not, krill could be that thing. Who knows?
What kind of capacity do krill have, do you think, to adapt to changing conditions like this?
Krill have a capacity to adapt to changes in their environment. They have to, because they're here today. The one sort of definite thing about natural selection is extinction. If you can't cut it, you will go. And
adaptation is extremely important.
The big problem for all of the life on our planet is that the changes that are happening to our planet now are just so much faster than what we've seen in the geological record. The geological
it's too
record
fast
shows
for
us
them to
numerous
adapt.
events of extinction.
So yeah, what he's explaining is that, like, you know, people are like, well, they can just adapt. Oh, like they like we can adapt, right? And that's correct. Like, we can adapt, but at the rate it's going, as we're creating it to, like, these changes to happen so fast that we're not given enough time to adapt. Even as humans, we can adapt, but at the rate that we're going, we could actually end up harming ourselves, which we are. I mean, look at, for instance, a great example is in Europe. They never needed to have AC because it was super cool. You know, it would never get so hot, like, to long periods of time that it would be a problem. And now Europe is actually starting to face a problem where a lot of people every summer are dying from heat exhaustion and things like that, because the temperatures are just getting so high for such long periods of time that it's actually starting to affect people, and it's starting to kill a lot of people, you know, out in Europe. And then even here in, you know, places that have AC, like in the US, AC is now starting to become like not able to keep up with keeping the temperatures down. A lot of places where it gets really hot, it can be really, you know, really problematic. And especially if, you know, people's ACs start, you know, breaking down and stuff, because they're overworking their ACs like at full capacity, 100%, all the time, constantly. It breaks them down quicker. And, you know, there's not enough people that are going to be able to fix the ACs in a timely manner. And that could mean a lot of people lose AC and, unfortunately, you know, die from, you know, overheating, which is what this guy is kind of explaining, is that, like, we can adapt, but we at the rate we're going, we can't adapt fast enough.
But they don't have a parallel to the rate of change that we're seeing now. It's just fast.
Too fast.
And the concern is that krill might not be able to adapt fast enough. These are not little organisms that swarm and multiply in a drop of water while you're out making a cup of tea. This is something that takes 2 years to get to sexual maturity from being an embryo.
Yeah.
And might live for 5 to 7 years if it's not eaten by one of the predators.
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't something that can really turn over quickly and you can have selection happen very fast. It's something that needs time. And we might not give it that time.
Yeah, he makes a very good point that we're not giving them enough time. And krill is very important. So make sure to go and give these guys a follow if you enjoyed the video. It's Catalyst here, and it's really awesome that, you know, they made this video. And, you know, one of the things is krill is important. It feeds the biggest animals in the planet, whales, blue whales, like things of that, you know, the largest animal in the world krill feeds is the blue whale. So this is why it's extremely important. When I said they're small creatures but make a big impact, because they really do. So now that you've watched the video, you know, what are krill? You know, they're small, they're shrimp-like crustaceans. And there, believe it or not, there's actually 86 species worldwide. Mostly the one that people really hear about is the Antarctic krill, because they are, or the Arctic krill, because they are the most abundant and, you know, the most well-known krill out there, and the ones that really do, you know, the impact. But there are actually many species. There's a ton of them, you know, 86 species. And you can find these guys everywhere. They're not gonna, you know, they can be found in warm waters. They can be found in cold waters. They can be found super deep, really shallow. They're everywhere, right? So you can find them anywhere. And these guys are typically around 6 centimeters or 2.4 inches long. So, you know, they're a good size. They can get up to a pretty decently good size. Their scientific classification is they are part of the kingdom, the Animalia kingdom. Their phylum is part of the Arthropoda phylum. And then their subphylum is the Crustacea, which is crustaceans. So they're part of the subphylum crustaceans off of the Arthropoda. So Arthropoda also includes like bugs. So, you know, arthropods, things like that. They're part of that phylum, so that's why there's a different subphylum. And also you may notice like a lot of crustaceans look very, very similar to some bugs. So like for instance, the as I mentioned earlier, the horseshoe crab, if you turn them over, the underside kind of looks like a spider. That's what a lot of people relate it to. So that's why they're part of, you know, the same phylum, but that's where they break off into their own, because they're still very different from obviously bugs. And then their class is the Malacostraceae, and then their order is the Euthacea. I can't pronounce this, but you know they're that's their order. The thing underneath, and then some physical characteristics of these guys. As you saw, they're very transparent in the video. You can see their innards. You could see like all their like their, you know, organs and stuff. And then they do have a slight reddish tint on them. And then they had those big, large black eyes that you could see. You know, the digestive system, as we saw, often green. And the reason why it's often green is because of what they eat, which is the phytoplankton and stuff. So they're eating a lot of like, you know, algae and plantation and stuff like that, or plants. So, you know, anything plant, vegetation type of stuff. So that's why their digestive system is usually often green. But and then, you know, as we mentioned the sizes, you know, it was up to like 2.4. And then I did find one that said they could be also over 1 centimeter to 6 centimeters, some up to 14 centimeters. So there's different places that have different size ranges, you know. They could get big. Obviously there's 86 types. So, you know, specifically, you know, their size, you know, is very variety oriented. So the Antarctic krill, so this is the one that everyone really knows the most. They're the most common one because they're the most abundant. And then there's their species name right here. So that's what they're known as. Their scientific name is what they go by, but you can just call them the Antarctic krill. And these guys are going to be mostly found in the Southern Ocean. So that is this particular species. They're going to be found in the Southern Ocean. And as I mentioned, they're the most abundant. And their biomass is kind of crazy. It's roughly around 40 million tons. So that's a huge amount of krill in biomass. You know, like that's a lot of krill. If you were to take 400 million tons of water, that's how big, like, as together as a whole, you know, makes the whales hungry. Exactly. Well, obviously there's got to be a ton of them in order for whales to eat them, you know. 400 trillion tons. Yeah. 400 trillion tons. I should have put that in there. That's a great pun. So, you know, and it's kind of crazy because of how massive they are. They actually found that swarms of these guys can be visible from space. That's insane. Like, they actually taken satellite imaging and like on the Southern Oceans. And if there's a big enough swarm, they can actually see them from space. And they can be so compacted. They say that roughly when they have these giant swarms, there can be about 300 or 30,000 individuals per cubic meter. That's condensed, man. That's condensed. And then, you know, because the fact that they got that reddish tint on them, it can actually, because of the swarm, it can create this like reddish brown color. It's really, really crazy to think like these guys can just change the color of the ocean to the color of them. And that's like how compact they are together. These guys, that's their schooling, right? As the guy mentioned, they school because this is a way to help confuse predators from eating them. Obviously, whales don't give a shit because they just swallow a bunch of water and then it doesn't matter. But a lot of the other ones, it's very, very prominent, where they can just swallow everything. And then, of course, yeah, they're a keystone species because, you know, they are very, very, very important to the ecosystem. These guys are the reason they feed the whales, you know, and other kinds of critters, you know, the lower on the food chain, they're very important. And, you know, they are very much down on the food chain, but a lot of animals eat them because they're super abundant. There's a ton of them. So it just makes more sense that you can just eat a ton of them. Also, welcome back. Welcome back. So, you know, as we mentioned, their role, you know, as I was talking about earlier, they're so important because they feed so many different kinds. As I mentioned, the whales, they feed seals, believe it or not. Penguins also like to eat them, and fish and squid. So, you know, as we mentioned, they're a key part, but they're known as a keystone species. So to all my returning viewers who are part of the Narwhale-U, how many of you guys know, do you guys remember what a keystone species is? I need, or if anyone knew, if you know what a keystone species is, definitely shout it out. What is a keystone species? Tell me what that is. Does Liz eat them? I eat them. Now, I mean, like, as a narwhal, I don't know. I would have to, I would have to look in. But yeah, they are technically a whale, so they would eat them. They unlock stones. No. That is not what a keystone species means. Good guess, though. Good guess. Aren't they vital species? Yes. So keystone species are very, very much very important to their ecosystems. And without them, they can actually, it can actually really majorly impact the ecosystem. And especially the chain of the ecosystem. So if we were to remove these keystone species, it can actually very much negatively, like a huge negative majority impact on the food chain and the ecosystem around them. So they play a very, very vital role in their ecosystems. It's the final stone to complete my gauntlet. Yes, exactly. So what do, you know, krill usually eat? Well, these guys are filter feeders. They're very, very tiny. And as I mentioned, you know, they, like how I mentioned earlier, their digestive system is green. And the reason why is because they're eating like phytoplankton, diatoms, which is algae. Algae is, you know, like a, you know, plant looking kind of organism. There's also zooplankton and larvae. Zooplankton, if you're wondering what that is, it's just a type of like phytoplankton, diatoms, and zooplankton. Very, very small organisms. And we can definitely do a whole thing about like the microorganisms. I could do a whole thing and describe like what each of these are. Because believe it or not, if you took like a cup of ocean water or even just sand off the beaches or lakes or rivers, and you put it under a microscope, you actually will see like how many like little tiny organisms there are that live in the oceans. It's pretty crazy to think about. And if you want to find a place that has a lot of life and a lot of these organisms, it's usually like if you see the crystal clear water, there's not any of those organisms living in that water. It's pretty much called dead nutrients. Those waters have no nutrients, while the ones like up north versus down south, usually the beaches off of like Florida and the Bahamas are all like crystal clear, but then you go up north to like New England area and California, and the more north you go, the water is like a muckier color, but that means it's got a lot of nutrients in it. And then of course, you know, as the guy mentioned, they feed at night, and you know, they descend during the day because obviously in the daytime they're exposed. You know, they're able to be seen, and you know, they're very much you know, a very prime animal that a lot of these guys like to eat. Obviously, you're not going to want to come during the day. You want to come at night where it's a lot harder to see you at night. So it gives them a higher chance, as well as the little guys that they eat. They come up during the nighttime because it's safe for them too. So usually the ones that are on the bottom of the food chain usually like to try to hide, and then they come out at night, which is very, very common that you'll see. Miss Liz, I have a question. Yeah, what's your question? What's your question, James? What's your question? But yeah, so these guys, you know, they're trying to stay alive as much as they can. So that's why they're not gonna. How often does a krill gain free will? I mean, technically, their brains are not that big. It's mostly like they are told, like their survival instincts are very much what kicks in. They don't really have free will. Their brains are so tiny that it only tells them how to survive. But if there is one that has free will, then Happy Feet lied to me. Yeah, I mean, hey, you know, like maybe there is one that has gained free will. I don't know. I've never. I mean, I could. They eat krill. Yeah, I was gonna say, doesn't penguins eat krill? Yeah, and also you're talking about penguins, right? Not krill. I don't know about penguins. I don't know. I would have to look into that, but you know, most animals, they just run off of like, you know, their survival instincts. They don't really have a complex brain like us. Now, dolphins though, they definitely have free will. So okay, so some unique adaptations of these guys. They like to feed on algae under the sea ice, so that's why they stick very, very close to the sea ice, because there's a lot of algae that grows on there. And these guys can actually survive up to 200 days without food. Very, 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 very interesting. That they can last that long without food. Imagine if we could do that, right? But also the reason why they're able to last up to 200 days without food is because of the fact that they're in extremely, extremely cold water. And because they're in that extremely, extremely cold water, it actually slows down their metabolisms. So and of course they're, you know, it looks like they're moving kind of fast, but they actually are able to kind of, you know, it slows down not only their metabolism, but also they store enough in their body where they can actually shrink their size to conserve energy. So the smaller you are, the less you need to eat, which is really, really cool. And then they molt as well. So every crustacean molts, which is, you know, that because they if they want to get bigger, they have, you know, that exoskeleton layer on top. So they have like a very hard keratin type of shell, and so it's the stuff that makes up our fingernails, that kind of stuff. So that is what their shells are kind of made out of, is like our fingernails. And if you think about it, if you have that kind of layering all throughout your body, it's almost like pants, right? Sometimes you gain a little more weight, and then those pants you were wearing maybe in, like, you know, when you were a kid, they're gonna start to get a little tight, right? And they can't form with us. So what do? We get rid of those pants, we take them off, and then we get a bigger size up of pants. And that's kind of what these guys do. So they molt, so they break out of that shell, they squeeze out of it. They're very, very soft for a little bit, and they hide away and they don't eat. They kind of conserve their energy. And then they allow the water to fill them up and grow into their size. And because of that cold water, it will actually cool it down and help really harden that shell. So then they grow into a bigger size. So as that guy mentioned before, they can live up to 5 to 7 years, you know, roughly 5 to 10 years. And this isn't just for like obviously for the Arctic, the Antarctic krill, it was 5 to 7, but their life range is, you know, because there's 86 types, you know, 5 to 10 years is roughly, you know, what they can do. And I thought this was a really, really cool fact, right? The fact that they can revert from adult to juvenile form. That is so interesting. Like they can go back to their juvenile forms. Not many animals can do that, but these guys can, which is really interesting. So that's why I was just like, what? Like they can go back to their juvenile forms, which is so trippy to think of, because then that could probably confuse us. And like, it's like, well, how do we know? How do we know, like, if they're an adult that just looks like their juvenile form again, right? So that is something I definitely want to look more into, because I thought that was really, really fascinating. I'm like, but how do they do that? And then, of course, their molting allows them to grow and shrink, which is really cool. And then, of course, seasonal changes affect development. So, you know, they can get big and small. So, you know, that was, you know, mentioned earlier. So reproduction for these guys is pretty straightforward. These guys can lay about up to 8,000 eggs per brood. So, you know, that's a lot of eggs, but you got to think about it. The reason why they make a ton of eggs is because only a very small percentage of them are gonna actually make it to adulthood. A lot of these eggs will get eaten immediately. And then when a lot of them hatch, then, you know, there's the different stages, but those different stages can get eaten by other little organisms, you know, the zooplankton, that kind of stuff, phytoplankton, they could eat them. So that is something to take in effect too. So it is the reason why they lay a lot is because of the fact that, you know, not many of them are gonna make it to adulthood as well. Also, Pink, thank you for the hydrate. Thank you. I appreciate it. Hi there, BPM. Hi. First time here. We going back to school? Yeah. So I do usually on Fridays. I pushed it back to today because I just wasn't feeling really well yesterday. But I do once a week. I teach chat about the wonderful world of the ocean and marine life, and, you know, anything that lives in the ecosystems of the marine life of lakes, rivers, oceans, seas, etc. And I teach them about the animal that they pick for their choice. And this week they decided to pick krill, so I am teaching about krill today. So I hope you are excited to learn, and I hope this is something that interests you. And then tomorrow we're going back and playing some silly games like Expedition 33. So yes. But yeah, welcome back, Pink. I hope you're doing well. I hope you had a wonderful week. So we have their breeding season. So they have a specific breeding season, and it's up to 5 months. So they have 5 months during their breeding season, and then afterwards they just do not breed anymore. So they do have 5 months of a breeding season, which is nice, which is really, really cool. Cool. Love the biology in Subnautica, so I should enjoy this. Hey, let's go. I love Subnautica. I actually am gonna once I'm done with Expedition 33, I do want to play the new Subnautica, because that just came out, right? Subnautica 2, I believe. I think that came out, and I really want to play it because I love the first two, you know, Subnautica and Below Zero, both really, really great games. So anyways, the juveniles adapt to varying winter conditions, so they are able to survive during the winter. So it's not like they have to like be aged at a certain point before it, you know, gets really bad. So they are able to adapt to winter conditions, which is good, because that would be bad if they weren't, because then they would all die, and then yeah, there would be no krill. So they are able to adapt very, very quickly, which is good. Yes, it came out into early access yesterday. Let's go. All right. So krill and climate regulation. So they are, you know, play the key role, as you mentioned about keystone species. And I keep reciting key roles because it is very, very important. These guys are very, very much a key role in the biological pump. So these guys do consume the carbon-rich plankton, phytoplankton. So the carbon dioxide that gets pumped into the ocean, it does get absorbed by phytoplankton. Phytoplankton is what helps produce oxygen. And because of that, you know, they are able to, you know, not only absorb that and take it and eat those carbon rich, but it keeps that carbon dioxide. It will go into the deep ocean. So we can pull out a lot of carbon dioxide and kind of bury it under the ocean. And it does not usually, it usually will reduce the amount of carbon dioxide out in the, atmosphere. But we are coming to a point where, that cold water, because we're warming it up, it's actually releasing a lot of that CO2, carbon dioxide, back out, which is really, really bad because we need oxygen, not carbon dioxide. And if we disrupt the balance of carbon dioxide, being stored, and now it's all coming back out, we could have more carbon dioxide than oxygen, and this can actually be very, very fatal to everything on this earth. Do you see why this is important, chat? Why we should be protecting our oceans, okay? This is why we need to protect our oceans. I can't stress this enough. So, yes. So it's very, very, very important. They do help with climate regulation. They are a big factor in that. CO2 definitely helps with warming our oceans and water and the air. So pulling that out will help cool the earth back down, which is really, really, really important. But we are definitely breaking that. So, and then we have now a ad break in the making. So we are actually going to go on a be right back, and I will be back in 3 minutes, and we will continue talking about krill. Okay, guys? So I'll see you in 3 minutes. Alrighty, We are back. We are back. Can you all hear me? Are you back from the
Nice. Very
Hey,
nice.
thank you, BPM, for the follow. Thank you, thank you. Oh my god, I'm about to sneeze. Oh. Achoo! Oh my gosh. Woo! Okay. Oh my goodness. I am sneezy today. I do need to clean up in this attic. Our whole house right now is a complete mess because we're going to be having construction soon. So we have to like move all this stuff out and over. It's a lot of moving of stuff. Lots of work. So I can't wait for it all to all be done. Eventually my office should be hopefully moved to a better location. So we will see. But welcome back. So as we were talking about how these guys help with, you know, removing carbon dioxide out of the ocean. So what do you usually do during the week? Right now I am hopefully going to be getting a job here soon. Because I was doing streaming and content creating full time, and then, you know, obviously things have been tough these past few years, you know, and it's just not viable anymore. So I am getting a job again, but hopefully I can oh oops, tried to time that to be before you started teaching in. Oh no, you're good. But yeah, so I am trying to get a job, especially I am trying to hopefully get a job back in the, you know, my career, which I want to get back into the marine biology aspect. It's just where I live. There's not much, I'm not really near a body of water, you know, like ocean wise. And I'm not in an area where it's like very prominent. So it's a lot harder to get a job in my field, but I do have hopefully a job lined up. I am right now in the process of getting hired. It's just there's been like technical complications and stuff. But yeah, usually I'm trying to get the house together and all that. But I might, like, when I'm not working, I do want to try to stream a few more times. It's just right now I've cut back on streaming a lot in general because I'm going through a health issue right now where my emotions are kind of out of whack. I've talked about it before. I'm dealing with like thyroid issues, and my thyroid right now is, you know, making me act like a raging hormonal teenager of like just I have these major mood swings. Like yesterday I was really depressed for like no reason. I just get really, really depressed out of nowhere. And it causes like any little thing that goes wrong. Like I cry in the drop of a hat, and it's awful. Like I usually never cry that much, but it's been awful. So I'm trying to like work on focusing getting my getting that fixed. Luckily there's medication for it, so I just have to get my blood work done to figure out what my thyroid is doing, and hopefully get the medication and the things I need to like keep my thyroid in control. That's like a big thing right now. So I have mad respect for teachers, and I hate interrupting them. You're kind of bringing that back. Oh yeah. No, you're good. I encourage people to interrupt me when I am teaching because, you know, I'm all for questions. I like when people ask me questions, even if it doesn't relate to what we're talking about. You know, like I'm okay with it. Like I don't mind. It also extends the class a little bit because usually these class sessions, like if I were to go through without any like questions or anything, usually it's like usually these are like an hour long. So that's why I'm like, okay, like I gotta extend it a little bit more. So, but yeah, never feel bad for you know, speaking up during the class. I like it when you guys, you know, ask a bunch of questions and even silly things, like I'm cool with. So oh my god, I'm about to sneeze again. Oh god, hold it in. Oh, okay. All right, we're good. I'm good. All right, so scientific research. So as that guy was, you know, we saw that we were watching how they are studying the krill on temperature and storing of carbon, especially when they're hatching. You know, how does, you know, carbon dioxide and temperatures impact their, you know, hatching rates? Also, we're trying to figure out, like, you know, what is their impact on climate change? Because if they're pulling out carbon, right, like they're pulling out obviously a ton of carbon, like how much of an impact does that make if we were to lose these critters, right? If we were to lose them, not only in a, you know, it obviously it's going to impact the ecosystem, but how is that also going to impact climate change, right? Especially if the numbers are starting to slowly decline, how is this going to help with, you know, impacting climate change in a negative or positive way, right? Obviously, it's going to impact it in a negative way, not in a positive way. So that is the problem of, you know, obviously if these guys are losing, you know, if we're losing a bunch of them, that's going to be negative for the climate change impact. And if we are keeping them together, then obviously it's going to be a good thing. So that's a huge thing. I gotta putting you on full blast while I clean. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. So, and then, you know, obviously they mentioned in the video that, you know, population dynamics. Why are the populations, you know, what is their dynamic? How do they interact with one another? Where are the adults going, right? We know some of them go to the deep parts of the ocean, but majority of them just kind of go and disappear somewhere. Where are they going to, right? So that's really, really, really important. And also like long-term studies in Antarctica, because they only go during the like summer times when the weather's good. They want to do year-round studies to kind of figure out, okay, what are these guys doing? Where are they going? What, you know, that way we can learn as much as we can about these critters, because obviously these guys are extremely important. So we should definitely learn more about these guys and their importance as well. So yeah, that makes absolute sense. There is unfortunately a lot of, you know, threats to krill. Krill are unfortunately they are declining. Shocker, like everything else. You know, what are the things that are threatening these guys? Climate change, you know, the warming, you know, climate change is obviously going to be a huge impact to these guys, because it actually adds up to a lot of these things. It's causing the oceans to get warmer. And because the oceans are warming, there's a lot of sea ice that's being lost. They're melting because of the warmer waters. And then, of course, that, you know, the acidification. So we are having a lot of those warm waters and pollution getting massively absorbed into the ocean. And it's warmer waters actually prevents it from breaking down. So it's releasing a lot of carbon dioxide and other things back into the ocean. When it's in cold waters, it doesn't, like, it actually sinks to the bottom and it doesn't affect the acidification of the water. But because it's warming, it's releasing a lot of these carbon dioxide and things like that. And it's actually causing an increase in ocean, the ocean acidification. So it's making the water more acid. You know, acidic actually is the best terminology for that. So it's not good, especially if it gets more acidic. Obviously, things can't live in acidic water. So a lot of animals will die from that. And that is also going to impact krill. They're the first ones that are going to feel the effects of it before the rest do. And then, of course, you know, the increasing commercial fishing of these guys. They're really yummy. They're very tasty, but we are overfishing. Overfishing, guys, it's not a good thing. Overfishing is bad because they have to hit, what, 2 years to sexual maturity. These guys don't grow very fast. They don't get to, you know, sexual maturity until 2 years. So if we are taking out so many of them, like the amount that we're taking out of the ocean is not enough for them to bounce back and like reproduce quickly enough. So that is a huge factor. When you take out more than they can replenish, of course, it's going to get to a point where, you know, when the the demand is higher than what the supply can, supply and demand, that whole thing. The supply is decreasing because the demand is so high, and they can't, put they can't get the supplies out fast enough. So that's kind of like the same thing with krill, right? And, I've been stressing the whole thing of, krill being a keystone species, all that stuff. So, why do krill matter, right? They matter a lot more than we realize. They are the foundation of the marine food web. They are the biggest priority for a lot of animals. A lot of animals rely on these guys for food. And if we were to take them out, that can affect the food web in way negative impacts. So it's extremely, extremely important. They are definitely they are on the front line of the bottom of the food chain. And if we were to remove the bottom of the food chain, that's going to mess up the whole chain of command, and it's going to get very ugly very fast. A lot of animals may bloom and burst and get crazy, while others will die off, and it's going to be so bad. They keep biodiversity. What is biodiversity? Biodiversity is literally the amount of, think of diversity, right? Think of the word diversity. What does diversity mean, right? Diversity means it's kind of the, all different walks of life, right, can live together, right? And that's the ocean. These guys help create a ton of different plants and animals and organisms all living, and it creates this crazy enriched diversity. So biodiversity just is bio means, biology. So it's literally just different kinds of life. So that's how we describe, in animals, we call it biodiversity as a way to, talk about not only just animals, but organisms, plants, things of that nature. So they are the reason why we have such a diverse group of, different kinds of organisms and things like that. So if we were to lose them, then there would only be a select few groups that will survive, and that diversity will shrink down to a handful, which is not great. We're very, very lucky to have, different kinds of fish that we can eat, right? We're very, very lucky. But if we were to remove the krill, then, we would have, we have salmon, tuna, red snapper, mahi-mahi, grouper, the list goes on and on. But then if we were to take those away, we may only have tuna and mahi-mahi, and that's it. That's all you get, right? So that is extremely, extremely obviously not great. You don't want to just be eating one type of food the rest of your life, right? It's not beneficial at all. Why does it take so long for them to get sexual maturity? Krills aren't that bigger than shrimp, correct? You would think they would grow pretty quick. So they have different stages of life. So they go through 13 different phases before they become the krill that we know. So it does take them a while to grow, and especially a lot of these guys, they live in the Antarctic. You're gonna grow a lot slower in colder water. So that does play a factor too. These guys are in very, very cold waters that can actually stunt growth. Cold weather can actually prevent a lot of these animals from growing quickly. But yeah, I mean, it's just I don't quite know why it takes them that long, but it's just the different stages they have to go through in order to get to that point. But that's a lot of animals, believe it or not. A lot of animals, it takes them 1 to 2 years until they're sexually mature. So it's not uncommon, like cats and dogs, it takes them 1 to 2 years until they're sexually mature. So it's that's usually the ballpark for a lot of things. Is sexual maturity is takes 1 to 2 years. So what would happen if we moved a group of them to warmer waters and try to up the population? So you couldn't just like drop them from cold to hot. Like they have to adapt to, like, you have to slowly start adjusting them and creating adaptation. You can't just plop them in, because that can actually kill them, because they're not used to warmer waters. So you would have to slowly integrate that, and that would take generations, like generations of generations of generations. It's not like you just pick them up and plop them and that's how it works. Imagine, like, you know, you live in a really, really cold environment, right? Or you live in a really, really warm environment as human, right? Imagine you go into the opposite extreme, right? Like, I've gone from winters up north in New England down to Florida and 80-degree weather, and it messes me up. Like, I actually get physically sick. And a lot of people do, because you just can't adjust. Like, that is such a shock on your immune system. It actually causes your immune system to go into shock, and you actually get really, really sick. So I get really, really sick when I go from one environment to the other, like in a short amount of time, because it just shocks your immune system, and then you get sick. And that's what happens with them, is you're shocking their immune system. And that allows like bacteria and viruses and things like that to get them sick, and that's what can kill them off too. So, it's like, you could say that for a lot of animals, right? I live in Canada. We flip flop all the time, but I understand it could take a decade or two to be able to do it. Yeah, like it's like, you can't just plop thing. Like, you have a slow transition of, like, obviously I live up north too, where we have winters and summers, where summers can get really, really hot and then winters can get really, really cold. But there's like a subtle like change. Like, it's not like a overnight type of thing, which it does happen. Like, I mean, we had one day it was 80 degrees and the next day it started snowing, like in you know, spring. But you know, obviously that's not like, it can't happen that quick. You have to slowly adjust. That's why we have spring and fall. Those are the transitional periods between summer and winter. So, and we're a little bit more adept, but we are starting to run into issues where humans are actually having a hard time to adapt. Like, for instance, in Europe, I was just mentioning this before, where in Europe, you know, they never needed AC. And they never built ACs into their buildings, because it's so, it's a lot cooler up there. And in the summer, it doesn't get super hot up there. But now, because of the climate change, it's getting so hot now. And what's happening is it's getting so hot for a long period of time that people are actually dying from heat exhaustion, because they are not used to those hot temperatures. And it's actually, and because they don't have AC, it's actually, a lot of people are dying from that. And it's getting like more and more and more people are starting to die from heat exhaustion, and dying from just being in their houses during a hot season. You know, you're like, well, I'm out of the sun. I'm not in the sun, but those 100 degrees Celsius temperatures, that can be really fatal. You know, because their bodies are just not used to that kind of heat for that long of a period of time, and that kills people. Their immune systems just can't handle it, their bodies just can't handle it, and they just end up overheating and dying. So it's becoming more and more of a problem. Like, the climate change is actually also starting to affect AC units too. So a lot of places that are usually hot too, even people that are used to the warm weather, if they're, you know, they're out there, and their AC goes, like, they can only last a couple days before they start broken too. So, that's kind of like the same thing with them. Like, you can't just drop them in. It has to be a very, very, very subtle change. And we're not adapt to having, you know, long periods of 100+ degrees Celsius temperatures, you know, that are gonna be, you know, we're humans are not adapt to it at all. Believe it or not, we cannot survive in that without any sort of help, like AC and things like that. So that's why we can't just like pick them up and plop them into an area. So that's the unfortunate. You have to adaptation takes it's a process. It's a slow one, but it does happen. There are some that develop, that they're like, oh, I can handle a little bit warmer waters, while others can't. And then the ones that can, they'll thrive, they'll continue on, and then there'll be another one that can be a little bit more tolerant. And that's like how adaptation works. But we can't just plop them in and hope that they can adapt really quick. So and then we have the, they're important for the global carbon cycle. They are, ones that are taking the carbon dioxide out of the air and then storing it into the deep ocean. So they're very, very important for that. And then, of course, their economic value, omega-3 fish meal, that's extremely important. It's good for you, especially those who have high cholesterol. Omega-3s are like extremely, like omega-3 is really, 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 really important. And also fish meal is great for also like animals. I know a lot of fish food has krill in it because it's just such a healthy option. I remember like when I was working at Marineland, we would have once a week we would feed our fish, like we would crush up these little krills. So we would cut them up into little fine pieces and then feed them to the fish because it's got such a great nutrition. They're very nutritional. They have a lot of benefits, like health benefits too. So that's also why, they're extremely important, because they got a lot of good stuff. They're healthy for you. So all right, so fun fact and conclusion. So, they, despite their size, they're actually the most successful animals on Earth. So these guys are extremely, extremely important. They do a lot for our oceans, and they have been around for many, many years, and they do really well. They are, a very abundant. There's a ton of them out there. Obviously, 400 million tons of krill is a lot. So clearly they are very, very successful. And, even though they're right now okay compared to a lot of animals right now are already starting to suffer from, the impact of, climate change and all that stuff. These guys are doing really, really good. And they're very, very important. And then also, one of they're on the bottom of the food chain. Bottom of the food chain and packed full of nutrients. Yeah. And because they're on the bottom of the food chain, they're doing really good for, having 400 million tons of them in an area. Also, hi, Omega. Welcome in. The fact that there's 400 million tons sometimes in a swarm of these guys, that's insane for a bottom meat feeder. So they're doing really good. Like, they're thriving. They're not... There's a ton of them compared to like phytoplankton, zooplankton, all that. They're the ones who are doing really well for being on the bottom of the food chain. So, they are very abundant, and they feed, the biggest animals on the earth, like whales and stuff. There's so many of them that they can feed the biggest animal on earth, the blue whale. So they're doing really good. They're doing really, 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 really good. And, one thing that you should all know is, we need to celebrate their importance on World Krill Day, which happens August 11th. So they have their own day that we should be celebrating. So I am thinking maybe on August 11th, we do a celebration of their importance, and we do kind of like a recap and just like have a little party, of throwing, a little fun party for their importance, and, hopefully, spreading the word about why krill are important. Maybe I'll make a video on World Krill Day to release. But there you guys have it. That is your krill facts for today. So that's really, really, I never heard of Krill Day. Well, now you know. Mark it on your calendars, guys. Mark it on your calendars. But anyways, I hope you all got to learn a lot about krills today. I hope this was really, really exciting. You know, tell me what favorite fun fact that you liked or you didn't know that now you're like, oh, I didn't know about this and I really like this. This really cool fact. Like, tell me what fact was your favorite to learn about today, you know? And while we are doing that, you know, we should, let's see here. We also need to do our poll for the next animal that we are going to learn about. So I allow chat to pick, you know, the animal for next week that you would like me to talk about. So whoever, you know, you can, the first 5 animals that are named, we will put in a poll, and then we will allow you guys to pick which animal you would like to do as well. So there you go. Okay, so we got Narwhal. Finally, Narwhal's on the board. Axolotl, okay. First time here, and I had fun. My favorite fact was Krill Day. Goblin Shark. Ooh, good one, good one. So we got Narwhal, Axolotl, Goblin Shark. We have 2 more. 2 more. What other 2 would you guys like to learn about? Or have a chance to learn about? And if we don't have any others, that's okay. We can just put these 3 on the board, and we can put it to a vote. And remember, Sir Big Cat, to make it to where they can use their bubble buddy points. You can put it to one bubble buddy point. I love how the krill shrink and grow depending on season. Yeah, that's a really cool fact. Really, really cool fact. Does anyone have another animal they would like to put on the voting board for this Friday that we can learn about? We have the bubble buddy points. Yeah. Also, if you've already named one, you can name another one. Like, don't feel bad about it. It's all because Green Goblin was my favorite villain as a kid. Aw, that's awesome. Green Goblin is a good one. Very iconic. Very, very iconic. Oysters? Ooh, okay, oysters. Okay, so we got Narwhal, Axolotl, Goblin Shark, and oysters. And what's the final one? What's the last one we want to put on the list to put for a vote? Barnacles? Oh, dude, I have a great fact about barnacles. I do know that. I wonder if I can find that song about them too. But okay, Sir Big Cat. So we have narwhals, axolotl, goblin shark, oysters, and barnacles. So you guys put your points in, vote for which one you want to learn about for next Friday. Start voting. Put those votes in right now. Right now. Put those votes in. Oh my god, Axolotl is winning. Why does Narwhal only have 1 right now? Oh my god. By the way, you can spam your votes so that way they can win. Axolotl's already taken the lead. You know? You can put your points in. Start spamming away your points, you know? If there's a particular, I wanted to give you guys a fun little thing to vote, you know? Put it to the races. Oh god, Goblin Shark is starting to catch up. Axolotl took a really big start. 72. Oh my god, but Goblin Shark is catching up. Oh my god. Oh my god. Goblin Shark is at 68 while Axolotl is at 98. Oh my god, I can't even keep up with the points. Oh my god, Goblin Shark's about to take over Axolotl. It is neck and neck with Axolotl and Goblin Shark. Who is gonna win? Who's gonna take it home? Goblin Shark now is taking a slight lead above Axolotl. Oh my god. Narwhal is just it's gonna not be able to catch up if it's going at the pace that it is. But Goblin Shark now has taken the lead. It is at 191, while Axolotl is at 158. Oh my god, Goblin Shark now sweeping through. with 232 points. I can't even keep up with it anymore. The voting is crazy today. Goblin Shark now taking that lead, leaving Axolotl in the dust. Can Axolotl catch up? Can Axolotl catch up? Narwhal really falling behind. Not having the best of luck there. It's struggling to get by. Oyster and Barnacles didn't even get a vote. I really feel bad for both of those. Those poor two just left in the dust. Nobody likes the Oyster or Barnacles. Nobody wants to give them love. Everybody wants to give love. The Goblin Shark now at 400, while Axolotl is at 257. Jeez. Man, Goblin Shark is spamming those votes right now. Taking the lead. It looks like Goblin Shark may be what we talk about this Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time when I usually do these classes. Just today, I had to push it today because I was not feeling too well. My finger's tired. I tried for Narwhal. Hey, you tried. It's okay. Ian now broke. Oh, no. Oh, no. Is Goblin... Oh, is it Wait. Oh, Goblin Shark is now broken. Axolotl may take the lead now because Goblin Shark has actually broken. They can no longer put the points in now. Oh, no. Axolotl catching up. Axolotl might actually take over, you guys. I think Axolotl is actually going to win because Axolotl now has a chance to catch up. And with the rate it's going, with how much is left, I spammed all... Oh, you spammed all your points. Oh, no! That means Goblin Shark is going to get taken over. Ripperoni to Goblin Shark. Axolotl now catching up. Can it bypass Goblin Shark before the voting runs out? And I believe it's going to take over. I believe it's going to be the winner here. Oh, man. Yep, you got to save your points for next time. And there it is. Axolotl at 491 points, while Goblin Shark is at 481. Both Narwhal and Goblin Shark have stagnated, while Axolotl is still taking on, going strong with 31 points right now. Still trying to go as far as possible. They are trying to get that vote as far up. It doesn't help that I got a bunch of errors. Oh, no. Alrighty. Axolotl, I think, has won with 575 votes. Damn. Let's see. And the winner is... Can he make it to 600 before the time runs out? Oh, Axolotl just made it with 601 votes. Goblin with the second with 481. Narwhal with 133. And Oysters and Barnacles in last place at 0. So we will be teaching about axolotls this Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern time, because I forgot it's not standard anymore. It's Eastern time because daylight savings. That barely put a dent in my point. Yeah, that's why I'm like, dude, we gotta do the Bubble Buddy. You got a Discord? I do. You can join it if you type in !socials. It has all of my socials there, so you can stay in the loop. Usually I am talking in Discord. We're usually talking about stuff. I talk about my baby boy, my orange little kitty cat. We talk about a lot of stuff, you know, just a lot of fun things. I talk about, you know, stuff going on in my life and all that. I do want to, I am planning on joining, like, my voice channels. It's just right now with everything, I just need to stay away from people as much as I can because I'm a very emotional human being right now. I'm very sensitive to just life in general. Because, you know, thyroid just being a problem. But once that gets fixed, then I'll definitely be more around and involved. But for right now, just for right now. But on that note, now we are going to do our next thing, which is to raid. And we are going to raid. You know what? I haven't raided in this person in a hot minute, which is Hugin. Because they are streaming right now. And they are streaming 7 Ways to Die, which is a fun game as well. If you guys never gotten to play it or see it, I definitely highly recommend it. It is good. Oh, did it not? Oh, did it not take? Hold on. Let me. Oh, right. I gotta put hold on. I didn't type his name, the full thing. Hold on. Give me a second here. All right, there we go. Oh, nope. It didn't even type. Awesome. That's awesome. Gotta love when it doesn't. All right. Oh my god, why is it not typing? What the heck? Oh my god. Are you kidding me? Okay, there we go. Now we got the raid. All right. So here is your raid message for my subscribers, and then my non-subscribers, here is your raid message. Make sure to copy and paste those in. You're good. I'm about to join. Twitch doesn't keep playing when I click links on mobile. Oh, yeah, no, you're good. You're totally good. Make sure to copy those raid messages on my Twitch and also to my YouTube people. Thank you very much for sticking around and joining me today. I do also stream on YouTube. If you would like to also follow me there, feel free to join there. But thank you everybody for joining me today. I appreciate it. I will definitely see you all tomorrow. We're going to continue and playing Expedition 33 where we left off, where we are at the giant woman. So I'm super excited to see what happens with that. But thank you everybody. Have a great rest of your day, evening, and good night everyone. Bye. Well, morning for me, afternoon for me, but you know, still. Have a good rest of your day. Bye, everyone.